I realized as I was going through everything I talked about today that I didn't talk about citations, and that's what you specifically had asked about. So, bonus footage. Hopefully you hung around for the last little bit of the movie, because here we go. Citations are not as scary as they sound. I just need to find out where you got what you're citing to, what you're citing for that proposition. That's the whole idea behind it, and the reason they're normalized for everybody to use the same kind is so that you don't have confusion about where to find stuff. That's why it's important to have them consistent. I personally prefer Blue Book. If you're more comfortable with Allwood, feel free to use it. There isn't that much of a difference, particularly with regards to this stuff. Whatever you feel more comfortable using is fine. Just be consistent. That's really what I look for. Couple of the statements about citations. The real biggest difference between citation in an academic paper and citation in a brief or memorandum is that the citations go into footnotes rather than the text of the article. That's it, really. There are some differences in citation format. I'll talk about one that I do not require you to use, and I'll explain why. But really, just put the citations in the footnote, and things will be fine. If you want examples of how this looks, look at the law review articles that we've used so far. You can also, as you do your research, when you find law review articles, they'll have that format so that you'll immediately appreciate the differences there. When citing to a secondary source, the Blue Book and Rule 16.9 commandeth a writer to employ this approach. So if you cited it first up at footnote XX, they say that you should, later in the paper, say Dilmore et al. Supra note XX at whatever page you are citing at. Do not feel compelled to do that. The reason I do not like that rule is that I believe it inhibits revision of the document. Because if you've already said everything where XX is 23, for example, if you go back and revise your introduction, you have to go back and change all of those footnotes if you use that rule that subsequently reference Dilmore et al., for example. That I think is a greater hurdle to reorganization than I want to have. A simple short cite like Dilmore et al. At whatever page you were going to cite to is perfectly appropriate. Those are really the only citation issues that I think you need to be aware of. If you have other questions about that, as always, come see me.